Hello and welcome back. And today I pulled a card from the deck that I'm using at the moment, which I really love, which is called the White Light Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild. And the message was, as it always is, so relevant to what I was talking about yesterday and what many of us are experiencing right now. And so I just want to share a few reflections on it. And the card was called the Theta of Venus. And it speaks about attuning ourselves to the pure frequency of love within the heart. And the card was a really poignant reminder for me that the lower frequencies like judgment, fear, shame, doubt will sometimes or often arise within us or around us. And it is all part of being human in this world, as we are a spiritual being having a human experience. And all of that is part of the whole experience. But the guidance is very clear. We can acknowledge that those energies are there, but we don't need to put our attention on them, which is what allows them to carry on looping within our energetic field, which is what I was discussing in yesterday's video about the news or situations in our own life that are, can be judged as negative and difficult, and we can just keep our energy focused there and just allow those emotions just to keep cycling around. So I really love this card because it was, talking about not giving them a foothold in our heart. Because many people now, and if you're listening to this, you are definitely one of those people, you're being invited into a higher understanding of who you really are. And there's a good chance that if you're listening to this, that you've always felt a little bit different. You may have always felt more sensitive to others. There is a joke about, people having 5 senses, but if you're an empath, you've got, 350 because you're so sensitive to everything. So you may be one of those people. I know that I certainly am. You may have found yourself in the past deeply, deeply affected by cruelty, conflict, or the darker expressions of human behaviour and just found it totally incomprehensible in your own energetic field. And I know that I've wondered many times, how can people be like this? How can they do this? Whatever it is. And it started as a child seeing animal cruelty, for instance. But there is a lot of that kind of energy in this realm. And often the deeper truth is that you simply vibrate at a different resonance to most people. And that doesn't make you better than everybody else. It just makes you different, and you are completely unique. But I'm talking to a specific set of people that just operate at a higher frequency, and I'm not saying that that's better than anybody else at all. It just is different. So the message of the card is that many souls who are here now carry a very strong heart frequency because they have done a lot of the inner work. They've cleared out a lot of the clogging of the heart chakra, and so are able to now embody more of that strong heart frequency. And you didn't come here by accident. You came here, you chose to come here for this time, this exciting time as the world is going through such a profound transition in consciousness. And we've probably thought, yay, how exciting, how amazing. And then we got here and forgot, and then had to go through all of that to remember and to clear and to shift and to be that lighthouse that we actually are. And actually, somebody said this in a video today that I listened to that I thought was amazing. I always used to think, well, why is it so difficult? If I chose to come here, why is it so hard? I'm happy to be the light, I'm happy to help, I'm happy to give, I'm happy to show the way, I'm happy to help people heal. But why is it so difficult? And this woman on this video said that you wouldn't put a lighthouse in a place where there's lots of lights. You put a lighthouse where it's dark so that the ships don't bang into the shore. And I thought, yeah, that does make sense. So, imagine that we did choose to come here when this world is going through this really upshift in consciousness, and in order for that to happen, the shadow elements of humanity have to rise to the surface. They've been there for so long, and we have kept stuffing them down in the same way that the clients that I see, and many people have been taught, that lower frequency emotions are too uncomfortable, so let's just stuff them down. They're not very nice, so let's stuff them down. That's what's happened in the collective consciousness. This dark stuff has just been buried. It's been there all the time, but we've just not seen it. We've just been getting along our merry way, la 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 la. Well, many of us have probably been aware of it for quite a long time, but now the collective consciousness is becoming aware of it. And so that's causing a lot of distressing, things for them. So all of the systems of control, the division, the fear, the narratives that were designed to keep us locked into those lower emotional states are just now coming to the surface. And if humanity can be kept in fear, which is what these stories are trying to do now, desperately trying to keep that fear energy going, if they can, be in the energy of anger or shame for long enough, stewing in that, then they're far easier to control and influence. So that's why protecting your energy, as I spoke about in the previous video, is not just a personal act of self-care or being selfish. It is absolutely fundamental, and it is our spiritual responsibility to do so. Because the real shift that is happening on this planet is a shift into the consciousness of the heart. And the heart energy is incredibly powerful. It's creative, it's magnetic, it brings harmony where there's been chaos. And when enough people anchor that frequency in, the entire field begins to change. And there's a beautiful way to understand this in nature, actually. So if you've ever watched a murmuration of starlings or other birds in the sky, and they just look like great flowing clouds of birds that just move together as one kind of living shape that all understands each other part of it. And when we watch it, something remarkable happens. At first it seems, a bit chaotic, and then, there's thousands of birds all moving in different directions. But then a small group changes direction, and almost instantly the entire flock just shifts automatically. Not through force, not through control, but there is some kind of communication, some resonance, some coherence that they all understand in the moment. And the movement of a few birds then becomes the movement of the whole flock of birds. And I just see this as how human consciousness works. It works in this exact same way. So those of us who hold a clear, steady frequency of love, of truth and awareness just begin to influence the field around them, not by really convincing or forcing others. I mean, you've probably tried this in the past and it doesn't work. I know I have. But by simply, but very strongly, embodying that clear, heart-led resonance. And this is why the journey has sometimes felt so intense for us. If you consider yourself a light worker or an empath or whatever word you want to call it, because if you're listening to this at this point, you're going to be one of those people. Because before we can anchor that light and remain steady in our frequency, we often go through a long process of healing, of clearing and remembering. And the ones that have gone first, if you like, have had the longer and kind of harder job, if you see it that way. But again, there's no hierarchy in it. We chose it, so taking full responsibility. But then that makes it easier for people coming after us. We've had to let go of all of the fear overlays, the limiting beliefs, the old programming. And many of you listening to this, like me, have probably been doing the work for years. But the message of this card that I pulled today was just really simple and just really beautiful, and I really enjoyed reading it. That all of the training has not been wasted. Everything that you've done so far has not been wasted. Your experiences have not been meaningless, because everything that you've been through has been preparing you for this next phase, which is really exciting. And you are here as part of a team, and we're all kind of finding each other bit by bit, whether it be online or in person. And we're all helping humanity to move into a more heart-centered way of being, which really just brings joy to my ears. And you might express that work through healing work, through your own creativity, through your kindness, through your wisdom, through your voice, or just simply by your presence in the world. But whatever form it takes, from this point on, I'm really feeling that the support you need to complete your mission, if you like, will be there. Because when a soul chooses to serve the evolution of consciousness, the universe responds. So if you've ever felt out of place in this world, if you've sometimes felt like you don't quite belong here, why am I here? That might simply be because you came here carrying a different frequency, and that frequency was jarring against the frequency of here. But now that's shifting. But your frequency is needed now more than ever. So this is just a message to really keep tending to your own energetic field, tending to your own heart, protect your energy. And either I'll post today or tomorrow a declaration of calling my energy back. That's quite a strong practice to try, which will be on here at some point soon. But just remember that by simply holding the frequency of love, clarity and truth, you are doing enough. You are already helping the world to shift. And that just feels so exciting, and it just feels so, just amazing to finally feel, wow, I have some idea now why I feel so deeply, why I have had so many struggles with the way that the world is, all of those things. And now we're finding that power, and we're standing strong in that, and we're all lighting our little lighthouses up, and each lighthouse is connected to each lighthouse. And if we imagine the world from space, we can just see all those lights lit up that connect to each other across the whole of the globe. And that's what we're all doing. So it's just so exciting right now. So thank you so much for listening, and I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear where you're from, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for listening.